Welcome to this episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Ian, and I'm joined by Ken, Paul, Dan, and Jen. And the topic we're talking about today is measuring and optimizing your funnel success. In this online funnel series, we've explored what it takes to build an online funnel and the different components, technologies, and strategies that go into building a funnel. But the ultimate goal of the funnel is to drive action and sales. So today we're going to explore how we can measure the success and optimize our funnels to squeeze even more profit out of them. So let's get started. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'll start with Dan here. Dan,
usually it's Ken who gets the lead-off spot. All right.
Dan, we've learned that even the simplest funnels have a bunch of moving parts. Can you remind us of what those main components are as a refresher?
Yes. And I think, though, you guys are going to have to if I miss any, do jump in. But I do think, first of all, I have to preface this. The funnels themselves, we get it, are kind of overwhelming when you look at them in the full context of it can feel like you're building the space shuttle. So, I do think that you kind of have to, for me, I kind of have to break them down and build them bit by bit. So I do think, again, you want to start probably with a traffic store. And what we call as the traffic store is kind of where this is your engine. Where's some stuff, coming to, gonna shoot out of. So, that could be Facebook ads, Google ads. It can be, some different types of paid mechanisms that really start the process going. From there, you're looking at taking it to what could be a landing page. There's a number of areas where you could do retargeting. There are places where you want, in the landing page, you want to have probably some kind of downloadable that helps capture some information in terms of name, email, phone number, possibly. And ultimately, you're driving them to the destination of trying to not only market to them regularly, but really to get them to buy in for the first time. The destination does not have to be like an ongoing engagement right off of a funnel. It can be like a try, like the try before you buy can be the end destination. And then you can kind of go from there to see offline how you can convert that person into an ongoing engagement. So I do think, the most important part of this that you want to think about, though, first and foremost, I suggest looking at the traffic store, the in-between email sequences that you might do, or text funnel sequences, as well as the landing page. Get that much down, okay? Then worry about how am I going to, if they don't fill out a form, how am I going to retarget them, things like that. That's kind of where I would begin. But you guys can jump into of any other things you might add to that.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I would begin at the offer. You've got to have a compelling offer, or it's not worth anything. So, you've got to think about, a person in a particular situation that has a particular pain or a specific need, that they're looking for an answer for. And that is going to be the targeting that you can use for your traffic store, right? So, but it's got to be I think the best offer is a low risk, usually a low cost, and a paid offer is perfectly fine. Sometimes it needs to be free as well. But a low risk, low cost, high value, and especially high perceived value offer to get people to want to go ahead and take that call to action and start to work their way into the funnel.
Yeah. Anybody else?
we used to say,
the offer is, you're absolutely right. That is a great point.
And we used to say the offer is the thing that gets people off their couch, but now you don't have to get off your couch. They can answer your offer while on the couch. So maybe it's the thing that gets them to press click, right? Anything else on components or elements that we've covered that you want to make sure we talk about before we jump into the measurement and the tracking aspects?
I would like to add one more thing. The landing page. Once you've got a landing page, you want to take somebody to a thank you page, because that's going to be critical for measuring.
It's a great point. It's a great point. And that leads really nicely into a question for Jen. When it comes to measurement and tracking the success of a funnel, what key metrics would you normally track for clients or for yourself?
Well, yeah. I saw this question in order to get prepped for it. And I just thought that, so I always think about, our listeners, right? The small business owner that is already overwhelmed doing everything to keep their business running. And so then you add in marketing, and then you add in, we got to do the analytics, and you can just see their eyes glaze over. Or you can see like, what are the numbers? What are the best practices? What are the numbers my funnel has to reach? Otherwise it's all terrible. And I just want to answer that question and just back it out to 4 things you need to think about. And, and don't make it any more complicated than that until you've got the comfort with these. So the 4 questions are, so where are people coming from, right? So you find where, are your ads working? Where is the traffic coming from? Is it where you thought it would be coming from? Is it where you paid for it to be coming from? Where's it coming from? So are my ads working? Are they not? Are they very expensive? Are they not? So that's one question out of the 4. Number 2, are they engaging once they get in the funnel? Are they, making that click? Are they downloading that white paper? Are they downloading the checklist? Are they, engaging in the offer? Is that working? Because that's part of the process. The next one is, are they opening your emails? So in a funnel, after the original deal is accepted, so I've got white papers on the mind here. We've been doing white papers this past week for a lot of clients. So let me stick with that one, a very B2B, right? They download the white paper. We've got an email sequence going out to them afterwards. Excuse me. Are they opening those emails? That's another point to check. Are they, or did they just come for the white paper? They unsubscribed, and that's it. They don't want to hear from you again. So that's number 3. Are they opening your emails? And number 4, are they buying? Are they taking the next step with your company? No one downloads a white paper or a checklist just to download a white paper or a checklist. They've got a problem, and they either need a product or a service or some advice to fix that problem. So are they, have you done a good enough job building trust with them that they're going to take the next step and ask for more information, hop on that discovery call, buy the product, that kind of thing. So those are the 4 things I would look at for actions. And once you can answer those questions, yes, no, someone's taking action, they're not, then you can start to look at the numbers. Because, for example, if the numbers are 0, no one's engaging, then, you have a funnel problem you got to go fix. You don't have an analytics problem you have to worry about. So that would be my recommendation, those 4 points.
I love it. Yeah. And the last one you said is the number that every business owner cares about, and that's the sale, right? And so it's almost like working back from there sometimes, because if that number is good, a lot of us as business owners, we should care because we can tweak things and make them better. But sometimes we're like, it's good, it's working, I'm getting sales and leads, and this is fantastic. Yeah. So that's awesome. I love how you boiled that down to 4 key metrics, Jen.
And it is really some of those checkpoints. It's you're absolutely right. Like, we tend to look at the end. I get it with the sale, why we would look at that, obviously, or why they come in the door. But it's kind of in between that one part. There's always this key moment before the sale where it's like, if I can clear that with them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be a sale. And if you hit that in one of those checkpoints that Jen just said, then that's almost what you should be aiming for, even before like measuring the sale. Like, how many times did you get through that key point? Because you're going to close them after that, no doubt.
I love that, Dan. That's a really good point. That it's the percentages between those gates that they're passing through. So if those are those four things that you mentioned, Jen, are gates, and the percentages between those are really important too, because those tell us what's the return on investment at each of those stages, and where do we need to tweak. So that's awesome. Paul, it sounds like there's lots of things we can track and measure, and Jen gave us 4 key metrics. But as the people that actually build and work within these systems, we know there's so many elements involved. How would someone go about tracking and reporting on these things?
Well, hopefully the system that you're using would have that built in, because when you're talking about a funnel, yeah, that you could use analytics, and there's platforms out there that will do that. But if the system you're using doesn't have that built in, maybe you should look at a different system, because like Jen said, you want to track, you really want to track each stage of that funnel. And you want to know if you have a disproportionate number of people dropping out at a certain stage, you want to be able to look at that stage of the funnel. So that's the short answer, is the system you're using should provide that for you. I mean, you'll have to set it up, but it should have that capability built in.
And what's an example of a system like that, Paul?
We use Local Leads personally, and it's a very comprehensive all-in-one platform that we use. It has call reporting built in. It has all kinds of different attributions built in. You can track your funnels. You can track your emails. It will give you your email stats, like Jen was talking about, your open rate. That's important. It allows you to have people easily unsubscribe.
It allows you to also track the ad platform that you're using in many cases as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for small business owners, you hear a lot out there about ClickFunnels and LeadFunnels and all these different platforms. Do they do similar things?
They do similar things, but they're not as comprehensive.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll do one or two things, and they're fairly good at that. But then you're kind of back to, you have this system does this and this system does that, and now you're in a situation where you have to kind of make them work together. We're kind of going through that with a client right now. They have an estimate program that they use, but they want to get that information into Local Leads, which you're also using. So sometimes it's unavoidable, but keep in mind, the more different systems that you use to do different things, the bigger your integration headache is going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I'm not gonna call out one of those by name that you mentioned. Okay, I'm gonna say this: some of those that you mentioned, at least one of them, is really good at trying to sell everything in the first touch. If you act now, and you will have your funnel bazooka that you can have for an extra $49, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. I think that is so overwhelming for a business owner who's already overwhelmed by the idea of funnels in the first place. That's where you talk to a Ken Tucker or any of us, or any consultant who can really sit down with you and say, okay, what is it you're trying to do? Because you can get like the sales machine coming at you with some of those, and it can sound like, we've all heard this, where just flip a switch and the leads will come through the funnel, and the funnel will somehow, pop up out of nowhere. It doesn't work like that. And even if it did, you still have to maintain it. And so I think having a real person next to you to help you construct these funnels is what you need, because that sales machine is pretty hardcore.
Yeah, they're very good at funnels, aren't they?
They're very good at funnels. I won't take anything away from them. They're good at what they do, but I do think that sometimes that end game is tough. Like to where it's like, ooh, they're really hitting me up with the hard sell. it's not that their product is bad. It's not. It's that you may need sort of a non-buy this right now kind of approach from a regular down-to-earth person, locally.
Right. That's something that a lot of my clients talk about, but I'm sure yours do as well, is that when you are consulting with clients, you in essence become their guide and help them avoid the latest shiny object and actually navigate. We're all bombarded by a million emails a day with offers, and a lot of those are marketing offers if we're a small business owner. And so, clients often comment that, thanks, Ian, for helping me through this, or, yo, I just got this email. Is this a good offer or not? No, it's not. And this is why. And if it's coming from a Gmail account, don't buy it.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that we see is these. If you're getting an offer and it's not coming from a domain-based email, that should be several red flags right there.
Yeah.
Big time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a full stop for me. Ken, Paul talked about this a little bit, but maybe you can go into more depth about the tools that are available for the small business owner to use to consolidate the tracking and the reporting, and maybe even all of the funnel work, or maybe give us a picture of what it's like without these tools first, and then what it's like with these tools as well.
Yeah. So, like Paul said, we've created our own system that's really a sales and marketing operating system called Local Leads IQ. I'm going to add, the full name is Local Leads IQ. Got to jump in and add that, Paul. So you can, that's our ecosystem that we've created, and we've designed it specifically to answer the mail for the question that you're talking about here. You can piece together a lot of different solutions. I mean, you can have a call tracking system. You can have, your form system. You can have your email marketing system, your text message marketing system, and you can pull all of that data in together. Your Google Analytics, your ad platform analytics, all that kind of stuff. You can pull that all together into a tool like Agency Analytics, where it's going to integrate multiple data feeds to create, that dashboard, if you will, of all of the key metrics. It's going to be hard to drill down into the funnel specifics for that, but it's going to give you the visibility of the analytics. Then you're going to have, Google Data Studio is another great option. There are plenty of different platforms that are out there that does that. The biggest thing for me is, if you're running a funnel, as Dan mentioned, you're probably using something from the traffic store, some kind of a paid strategy. Maybe it's your past customer list, but you want to be able to measure and track that specifically to see how is that performing inside your funnel. And so then you want to measure, not only did somebody click on the offer, did they actually claim the offer, and if it's an opportunity to buy, did they actually redeem it? So you need to measure that all throughout the whole process. It depends on the complexity of the funnel. It depends on what you're selling. If you're selling something that, is really designed to get people to buy because they already know, like, and trust you, or just honestly because the sales cycle is not very long, you probably don't need to have super complex tools, but the tools that you're using should be able to measure the key outcomes. So if you're trying to drive, purchase behavior through a text message marketing funnel, driving people to a landing page, sending them there from maybe a Facebook ad, that text message marketing platform had better be able to tell you how much revenue are you generating per campaign, and even tying it back to how much a particular customer is buying from you through your funnels. And you'll know that because of the cell phone number that receives the text messages. So it really just depends on the complexity of the funnel, what you're trying to accomplish with the funnel. If you're trying to get somebody to download a checklist or a case study to get them into the top of the funnel, then your nurture activities are going to become much more important for you to measure, to see, okay, well, I got them to raise their hand and say, okay, I'm interested in this thing that can help me solve, an annoying little problem that I've got. And so can you take them from your email or your text message, nurture sequence to next steps, to take more concrete action, to download something else, to raise their hand and say, okay, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to have a conversation. Let's schedule, some kind of a discovery session, or let's schedule some kind of a paid, assessment that, again, is a fairly low cost, low risk to them, high value kind of a thing.
And I would add to that the very best tool they have at their disposal is people like us who actually eat, live, and breathe this kind of stuff every day. So if they're hiring someone to build their funnel, they don't have to worry about the technology behind it. The consultant, the agency, the funnel builder can actually report on whatever key metrics they determine, and like the metrics that Jen gave, anybody should be able to report on those.
There's a lot of noise, right? I mean, there are so many things that you can measure that you could wind up measuring things that are just not important. If you're going to be doing anything from a Facebook ad perspective, you may get really excited because you see a lot of people liking the ad, the post that you used as the basis for the ad. A like is a vanity metric. It really doesn't mean very much. The goal is, did they click? Did they go in, get into the funnel and take the actions you wanted them to? So, again, just because they click on a link inside of an email, not very meaningful. It's really, did they take those actions that are leading them to more concrete steps to building that relationship, a transactional relationship, ideally with you.
Well, hey, Dan. Here's a question for you. How long should a funnel be running before you have a good sense of whether it's working or not, whether it requires tweaking?
Oh man, you're gonna make me be that "it depends" guy. I hate it when the people say that, but it kind of does. But I do have an answer to that. The answer is it depends. But I do think people have to keep in mind that different funnels for different goals are going to make different timelines. So let me give you an example. And if I already told this story, stop me.
Please do.
But like I was doing a presentation, and the presentation, let's call that sort of the, that's the what's the thing that we just not the fuel, the lead engine, the traffic store. Gosh, brain's escaping. Let's call the presentation the traffic store for the time being. Well, at the end of that presentation, then I started a text message marketing funnel. So how big does it have to be at that point for me to judge it as a success? Because if people said, okay, I want to get a certain number of extra things from this presentation by texting a certain word to this number, then they would get a link to the presentation. Now, if somebody didn't do that much, then you really are kind of like, well, how qualified, interested are they at that point? Maybe not, you haven't done enough qualification perhaps, but at least, you're going to know pretty quickly if this is a person who wants to continue talking to you. So, that's just an example of how short and compressed a timeline can be when you do a funnel. Other types of things, can be a little more elaborate. I think if you're doing things that relate to lead qualification and lead capture, then absolutely it's going to take you, probably a few more weeks to really evaluate that thing. So, because there's a lot of ins and outs that are going to need to happen. Let's say that you have an email sequence. Your email sequence and just that component, you could have 6 or 7 touches there. Now, 6 or 7 touches where we're not just changing up the subject line, hopefully, either. So, that's where some different things that they can download. Again, kind of where Jen was going with what she was saying, there's certain checkpoints that you got to measure there. And I don't think, if they don't make it to the end, I don't think it's a bad funnel. I don't. I think that it's something where you have to look at it and say, okay, they made it this far. Maybe I need to step in and make a phone call, make an email, do a little bit more, personal nurturing going on at that point. I do not think a funnel should be set it and forget it, put my feet up and let's wait until it rains. I don't think that's going to happen. So I do think you have to look at, number one, you have to think there are probably some different types of funnels you should be doing. Presentation funnel could be one, lead capture funnel, lead qualification funnel. I'm sure a few others based on your tactics, an ebook kind of thing or something like that. Certainly a try funnel. And all of those are going to have different measurements. The last thing I'm going to say on it, though, is it's never perfect. There's no such thing in my mind as a perfect funnel, because I think you're always tweaking. I think you're always, trying little pieces of it. I was thinking about this as you were asking, if you guys have ever been to like the Golden Corral, like when you're like, you ever go to that place and you're like, when you're thinking about constructing your funnel, the whole funnel that I see sometimes reminds me of the Golden Corral. Like if you were taking a plate up and like you're trying to load up everything in one trip, like you that would be impossible and gross. So really,
obviously you haven't been there with a child. Kids can do that really well.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you were going to tie that together.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, it's exactly like that. There's just it's like funnels. You just got to take one plate. Okay, this is my little part of this funnel. I'm going to work on this for a little bit. Then I'll go back to the funnel. Okay, I'm going to work on it a little bit. Oh, here's the offer. I'll go back. Multiple trips to the funnel. Buffet, build it out. Like don't try to load it all up at once, because you'll just kind of make yourself sick.
But you could have multiple funnels and multiple plates at the Golden Corral, couldn't you?
Well, yes, you could.
We don't need to go down.
I wouldn't like load up on the chocolate fountain stuff at the in the beginning. But anyway, like the whole point is, and there is a point, that I really do think that if you're a person that's coming into this concept for the first time, don't be overwhelmed by the pieces, because there are 6 or 7 pieces, and the measurements for how you're going to do funnels are going to be different too. So stick with it and tweak it, and it's an ongoing process.
Hey, Dan, can I add one thing to that and contradict you slightly?
Well, I was waiting. Somebody's got to do it. It was Jen last time. I mean,
I agree with everything you said about the tracking and the time. And the one thing I would say is that anytime you're paying for traffic, so Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever it is, that can be almost immediate monitoring and optimization, because within a day whether that sucker's working, that ad is working or not. Because if you're not getting any clicks on your ad, or if it's the return on investment of that ad is so low, you should probably look at the ad copy, how it's optimized, and fix that, because that's the top of your funnel. And if that's broken, nothing's coming through.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, particularly if it's a very specific one, like a certain, if you have people who are right there and ready to buy, sometimes you can tell they're not in the research mode keywords as much as the, pricing or cost, or, really some of those things that trigger a thought on, I'm ready to buy. I just need to know where. Yes, I agree. I think that can be so much more immediate. So yeah, that I see you there. I'm
right.
with you.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's not really contradicting. We're still friends.
Yeah. No.
So Paul, okay, we know what success will look like. We're reporting and measuring our funnel. What do we need to do to optimize our funnel now?
That depends on what your data is telling you.
Data? What's that?
Exactly. And Dan and Jen actually touched on this a little bit, but when Dan was talking about the emails, let's say if you have an offer in those emails and no one's taking advantage of the offer, maybe the offer is not good enough. If people are dropping off at a certain point in the funnel, maybe there's an issue with your email copy. If people are taking action, Dan had said just maybe if someone doesn't go all the way through the funnel, well, if they take action in the middle of the funnel, they're not necessarily, you don't need them to go all the way through the funnel. So you really have to look at what's happening within the different steps of the funnel, where people are dropping off, and say, okay, maybe my email copy isn't good. Maybe that needs to be tweaked. Maybe the offer isn't that good. Maybe I think it's good, but obviously the prospects don't think it's that good. So it really comes down to, you have to look at what's happening within the different steps of the funnel, and that will give you an idea of where and what you need to change and optimize.
Well, and as Ian said, it could be that the offer is perfectly fine. It's just who you're targeting to get that offer in front of is jacked up. So you need to go in and address that.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks, Paul. Jen, I'm sure some of our listeners I'm sure some of our listeners are feeling a bit overwhelmed by the whole funnel process. It is a lot of moving parts. And there's a lot involved. If a business owner doesn't want to build and measure their funnel and optimize their funnel, how would they go about finding a partner to help them in this, a guide, and what would they look for?
Absolutely. Well, I was just thinking about that. So if someone calls up today and says to me, hey, we need a funnel, I'm going to think one of two things. Either they've been running funnels and they're just having some trouble, or they're at capacity, they need some help with their funnel, and there really are, a quite sophisticated marketing operation. The other side, the other point of view I'd have is, have you just heard about this funnel thing, like you heard about Facebook ads, like you heard about this, like you heard about that, right? So
like on a podcast.
That's just on a podcast. I need a funnel. Can you sell me a funnel? So that's one of the things. So I would say for the business owner to call up a marketing firm to ask for a funnel, I think the warning to you would be if they said, okay, no problem. That would be a warning, because with the funnel, there's going to be, a few questions that have to be answered. That's going to back you out into why do you need this? How's it going to help your business? What are actually your business goals? And it's going to back you into strategy and what's the point of your business? What are the goals for your business, and how can marketing help to get you there? And then we pull in the different tactics here. So what you're going to have to be prepared to answer the question on, if you're looking for a company to handle your funnels, is what are you selling? What is your offer? What is the end result? Why a funnel? Have you used a funnel before? How did that work out? Why do you need a funnel now? What do you think a funnel is? How are you getting customers now? I would say that if the marketing firm or the advertising firm or the consultant that you are asking these questions of, or that when you call up to ask for your funnel, or you're searching around for help with funnels, if they're not asking you those kind of questions that seem to be a little bit higher level than just the funnel, just like those offers from Gmail, I would run away. The funnel, in order to work well, is a part of a whole marketing machine that's going to help your business. And some of the questions or some of the things that the team is going to need to know in order to construct your funnel properly is, where's your website? Do you have a website? How are you different from your competition? What are the colors? What are the graphics so we get the ads right? What is your offer? What is the tone of voice of your company? What is the end result? What is the price point? Is there anything leading up into that price point? What's your typical sales cycle? So there's going to be a whole bunch of marketing and business questions that need to be answered in order, even if you have the most technical folks working on your funnel. So that whole lecture to say, if you don't want to do it, go to a reputable marketing consultant or marketing firm and start to ask about what it would take to do a funnel for your business. and be on alert that the person answering your questions is asking you questions back about, your general business and what you're looking to achieve, not just, yes, we can do it for you. We'll get it online by next Tuesday.
Yes. Can I disagree with? No, I'm just kidding. I just want to mess with you. I just want to mess with you.
I do have to disagree with that a little bit. I think.
Oh, geez, here we go.
All right, that's cool.
Look,
that's cool.
Part of the beauty of funnels is it's a systematic approach to generating leads. And a quality company is already going to have built several systematic funnels that are replicable. That will accelerate the process. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. These are based on best practices. These are based on niche or industry experience. And so I think there's a very robust library. So maybe a question you ask is, what kind of a funnel library do you have when you're reaching out to talk to somebody to help you with a funnel? Because you can accelerate the process dramatically. You don't have to always start at strategy first to get a funnel going. And so in some cases, a business, especially in this economy, they may not have the opportunity to wait for a strategy engagement. They need fast results. They may be masking the problem. I'm not saying you don't want to ever come back and circle back to do strategy, but some of this stuff, and again, it depends on the sales cycle. And what they're selling. So I think there are a whole robust set of funnels that are out there that already do a lot of things really well. Whether it's a customer reactivation funnel, whether it's a review funnel, like I know Ian builds a lot of, whether it's a niche funnel, in the painter space or in the dental space. Anybody who's working in those industries, they already know what's working pretty well for customers in that particular niche. So,
may I have 1 minute for rebuttal?
Well, yeah, I would love that. So,
how do you mute Dan?
Yeah. I hear you. I'll put it to you this way. I have never circled back to strategy. That has never happened ever. So if someone says circle back to strategy, I expect that to happen on the 12th of never, because I think that it's fine. I get what you're saying. Yes, you can get right into the funnel, but these many times are people who, when you ask them about their ideal client, will say, well, I'm a financial person, so really anyone looking to get financial services is what I'm after, or pretty much 5 segments that means everybody and anybody. And I think that's just a really hard thing for you to suddenly say, okay, is this a true lead that we're getting in here? Like, okay, let's do a funnel, but what is this lead? Sometimes they don't know what a lead is. They don't know what their close rate is. They always make the close rate better than what it actually is. And you kind of want to, you kind of want a common ground here. I think kind of between what both of you are saying, where I think that marketing firm has got to say, okay, let's look at, this window of time. Let's just say 6 months of what is absolutely the most important things that we should be doing. And one of them may be a funnel, but one of them should also be some sort of strategy here. It doesn't have to be a 3-month endeavor to do a strategy, but let's do something so everybody's on the same page as far as the plan. And then we can kind of go into this and look at our ideal client and messaging and things like that. Because sometimes it's like, okay, our funnel is working, I guess, but who are we getting in and who do we want to get in the most of? And I think if you have that, then everybody's moving in the same direction. So that's all I'm saying about it.
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on what you're selling and who your audience is. I mean, if you sell mass to the masses, like a restaurant is a perfect example. I mean, there's always an element of strategy. What I'm saying is, I think you should consider hiring somebody who already has the knowledge of your business and the industry you're in, that brings that strategy in place already to jumpstart the process. And if they can bake that into the funnel, you can hit the ground running. There's already strategy work that's been done. It's
And
just
just
not,
to
it's
tie
just
this
not,
together,
it's not truly customized to the business. And I do think there is a circling back. We see it all the time, because sometimes when people hire you, they're going to hire you for a specific reason, and they need to get a problem solved right away. And so if you can solve that problem, then you get them into a better situation. Now they're ready to look at other aspects of their business, and you can have a broader visionary look at what do you need to put in place from a strategy perspective. I think it's a balancing act, right? Every business has different needs, and I think the key takeaway is you should hire somebody who could do both for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I think and I'll say this is that one of the things that I would recommend you not do is buy into somebody who is going to come in and show you 20 different things that they do without getting to know you. It sounds obvious, but I see it all the time. And I posted about it. I said, there's the Cheesecake Factory approach, which is, hey, we do everything here, so we can cover everything, and all that does is just sell convenience. That doesn't mean anything. It's just we're full service. So I guess what I would say is that the funnel can absolutely be one of the first things you do, but the happy medium there is really, okay, what are the top 3 to 5 things that are right for us? And I think that is something that everybody can own. And, and they don't have to put all their eggs in the basket of a funnel either. As you could have the greatest funnel in the world, but putting all your eggs into that, and I'm not suggesting that's what you're saying, Ken, is just that's just one of the things. Maybe there's 2 or 3 other things that we should be doing to diversify. It's no different than if you were an investor. You can't put it all in one thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think also too. So for the listener, we're all part of the Duct Tape Marketing Network. We all have our nomenclature around strategy first, which is an engagement for 30 or 60 days, depending on your industry and who you're working with. So definitely not. We do not have to do a strategy first, a 90-day engagement before we get a funnel at the door. Not at all. But what I'm saying is we can't just plug and play, and I can't just give you the exact same funnel I used for a company yesterday, because their email subject lines are all full of little emojis because that works for them. And when I'm dealing with B2B software, that's not going to cut it for these guys. So what I'm saying is when we get the look, the feel, the right copy, where we're going to go, I mean, that's going to take more thinking than, we're just going to plug and play this funnel there. We got to know a little bit more about, your company, the tone of voice, the, who we're after to the audience. But that does not need 90 days of planning for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And just as a listening in and hearing your guys' viewpoints, and obviously I agree with a lot of what you've said. The one thing I would pull out from all of that, just to kind of encapsulate it, is that anybody who's doing anything for you from a marketing perspective, even if you're not engaging them to do strategy yet, if they are not good at strategy, if that is not a core element to what they deliver to their clients, you will be hurting yourself even with just the funnel. Because there are a million people out there selling funnels, even niche funnels or niche funnels, but without the larger strategic know-how to take you to the next level, if your funnel's working or if your funnel's not working, I think that's what will hurt a small business owner over time. Everybody agree?
Yeah, that is a good point.
I would agree with that.
All right. Ken's nodding too. So I'm going to give the last question to Ken.
All right.
As we bring this funnel series to conclusion, what final advice do you have for business owners when it comes to setting up, just getting started with online funnels for their business?
Well, I think it's super important to have a funnel. Even if it's just a simple lead capture system with, really good follow-up on that lead capture. And it could just literally be somebody filling out a form on your website, or somebody calling your business, or somebody filling out, a chat widget on your website. You should be able to capture that, and there should be some follow-up activity that goes there. The number one thing that I think in regard to funnels is, those businesses that have a list tend to do a lot better than those businesses who don't have a list.
Mhm.
The list is gold. I mean, it gives you the opportunity to go back and ask your customers, or your prospects, to buy from you again. If they haven't purchased from you before, you still have somebody who already knows you. They may have started to like you. They may have started to trust you even, but they've never decided to take action and try or buy from you. So whether they're a customer or not, having them in a list is really important. It should be something that they are opting into, right? I mean, it's just not go purchase a list. I'm not talking about that. And then you with that list, you can get them to become promoters of your business. If they like what you do, even if they're not your right customer and they're not buying from you, they may still champion you. They may still say, oh, you know what? At a networking event, hey, I just, I interact with this company a lot. I follow what they do. They're not really right for me, but man, I think they're perfect for you. That list is golden. So you want to put the best way to build a list is with a funnel. A funnel can be really simple. It can be making your website automated to the point where you're automatically capturing leads to put them into a system and making sure you have that follow-up. But then you take it to the next level. You get them to the point where you're giving them something of value that is worthwhile for them to give up a valuable piece of information from themselves in either a text phone number or an email address. Although you don't even have to really do that all the time. You can run a funnel just by pixeling somebody and retargeting them. So you don't even need to have them. Now, there are pros and cons to doing that, but you can start running Facebook ads just because somebody goes to your website. You never have to ask them for a piece of information. You just need to know what page or pages they were on, and then you can start running ads to them. So the thing is, just do it. Just make the effort to get a funnel in place. It will transform your business like nothing else. And the beauty of it is a funnel becomes a 24/7, 365 salesperson for your business. And, once you build it, it does just run. You can't ignore it. You have to go in, you have to optimize it. You have to pay attention to it. But once you build it, it's an asset for your business. And it's just hugely, hugely important.
That's awesome. That's it. This is probably a good place to wrap up, guys. Thank you to Ken, to Dan, to Jen, and to Paul for today. And we're going to have to shorten Paul's name by one letter to make it fit this 3-letter scenario. But this is an important topic about measuring and optimizing our online funnels. So thanks to our audience for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.